A man hears whispers from his basement just days before Halloween. What happens next chills him to the core. Kids filming a blackout on Halloween night spot something peeking around a shed, watching them from the corner of their grandparents' yard. And a local news crew shooting a story in a cemetery accidentally films what looks like a ghost walking through the graves. This is real footage of haunted places captured during Halloween. Ever hear something in your basement and wonder if there's someone or something moving around down there? This first video comes from Millennial Bro on YouTube, who posted it just under a week before Halloween in 2015. Perfect time to spot a shadow person sneaking around in your basement, right? He wrote in the description that he'd heard a voice coming from downstairs. At the start of the video, he calls out to whoever or whatever is down there, announcing that he's turning on the light and is going to come down to check things out. For most of this minute-long clip, he just pans the camera around his empty basement. Doesn't seem to be anyone there. But then, this happens.
Whoa, Jesus!
That is not the end of it. The next day, he captured another video. This one even scarier than the last. He wrote in the description, "I was hearing noises and voices from the basement again, and after having caught something last time on my other video, I began to record again. This is what happened."
I heard some noises again. Hello? Oh!
Did you hear that whisper? Let's play that last bit a couple more times. Yeah, so at this point, I'd be gone. But just seconds after he hears that eerie whispering noise, this happens. Did you see that? Happens fast, but keep your eyes on the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, I wouldn't have stuck around that house for Halloween that year. This video was posted on TikTok on Halloween Day in 2020 by Hola Peter. So these kids were alone in their grandparents' house. The power went out, so the adults had gone out to get some candles. But then, weird stuff started to happen. It all began when they heard noises coming from outside. That's when the kids started filming, creeping around the house to see what they could find. Eventually, they made their way out the back door. Let's see if you can spot something here.
Hermano quiere hacer pipí, pero el baño está allá. Y mi abuela nos dijo que cuidáramos.
Yeah, did you see that? As the camera pans to the left, you see this dark shape poking its head around the corner and then pulling back in. Well, the kid behind the camera decides to investigate further. Slowly moves his way around the corner. Not only do we hear a weird knocking noise, but we see there's something hiding in that shed around the corner. And just moments later, this is what happens. On October 22nd, 2021, WNYT News in Albany, New York, posted this creepy clip from a story they'd covered in Greenridge Cemetery in Saratoga County. Reporter Sam Hessler was in the cemetery at night talking about night tours they were doing there over the Halloween season. When the story aired, though, someone spotted something in the background and reached out at the station. Take a look at the background on the left-hand side of the screen. Here it is, slowed down a little bit. Now, what exactly was that? In most instances, I probably wouldn't think much of this, but seeing as this happened at a graveyard at night in late October, I'm gonna have to go with ghost. This next video was posted on Halloween Day in 2021 by Urbex Hill, who had quite the experience at Molly Stark Sanatorium in Ohio. The video is eerie from the jump because the place is just so old and decrepit, plus it is an abandoned tuberculosis hospital, so even if you don't believe in ghosts, I think you'd find it hard not to get creeped out in a place like this. But then, this happens. Now, it's hard to hear on camera, but there are some thumping noises coming from the floor above. But it gets even crazier. A little later on, there's a door in the hallway that moves on its own. Then, he makes his way to this tunnel, and this is where things get really unsettling. Now, he starts to hear extra footsteps at the end of the tunnel in front of him.
Those are creepy as fuck. Okay, I heard something.
Did you hear those footsteps, like drifting through the tunnel after he'd stopped walking? It's not an echo, like, it goes on for a good bit. Now, as he continues through, he keeps hearing footsteps in front of him, but he he never actually sees anyone. That is, until he does. Notice how this white figure kind of appears out of the darkness and then retreats back into it. It looks like someone walking in and out of the darkness. I mean, it really just looks like there's someone there, and that's even what Urbex Hill thought, until he made it further ahead and realized it was a dead end. There was nobody there. There was no way anyone could have been there. It was then that he decided to get the hell out of there. Reddit user F4Del Into You posted a series of photos they took at Madison Seminary just a few days ago. Now, Madison Seminary in Madison, Ohio is known to be one of the most haunted places in the state, and if you know anything about Ohio, you know it's said to be pretty paranormally active, so that is saying a lot. The Redditor said, "I did a flashlight tour of the Madison Seminary last weekend. It started off as a school in 1845. It eventually became a housing unit for the Women's Relief Corps, then families and widows of fallen soldiers in the Civil War, and then also eventually became an asylum. One of the more famous people who lived here was Elizabeth Stiles, a former spy of Abraham Lincoln. Many people have reported seeing and hearing things. I didn't experience anything in person beside a few strange feelings as I entered onto a different floor, it's a 3-4 building, and felt attracted/drawn to certain areas more than others. However, I do remember sitting in this room alone for a little while and tried talking to whoever may be in there. I snapped these pictures, and when I got home, noticed what looked like a face in the headboard. There was no one else in the room, and I can't find any explanation for it." And yeah, taking a close look at this third image, it does look like there's this ghostly face in the headboard, but what do you all think of this one? In October 2023, just a few days before Halloween, a man in Mexico started hearing strange noises coming from his garage late at night. And thinking it might be an animal, he went to check things out, but his dogs, who normally bark at everything, were oddly silent. When he reviewed his security footage later, he saw something crouched behind one of the cars. It looked human at first, but the longer you watch, the stranger it gets. The figure moves on all fours, then slowly stands upright, towering on 2 legs. As the man walks closer, one of his dogs finally barks, and that's when the figure seems to stretch, its arms and legs growing unnaturally long as it shifts behind the cars. The man runs to grab his wife, and when they return, the thing has vanished, moving out of frame like it just melted into the dark. The video spread pretty fast online, with people arguing over what it showed. Some said it was just a person playing a prank before Halloween, but others thought it looked like a Nahal, an old Mesoamerican shapeshifter said to turn into animals at night. Nothing rings in the Halloween season like a ghost hunt in a cemetery. This video comes from Peta and Jen of Ethereal Sisters Paranormal. They were carrying out an investigation at Serpentine Cemetery in Western Australia when they captured an unexplained blue mist. Check this out.
One. Alright,
Catch that? Here it is, slowed down a bit. When a viewer pointed out the blue mist to them during the stream, they went back to the same spot later to see if they could replicate it, try to explain what happened, but they couldn't. They still have no idea what it was. And finally, from Reddit user Aware Measurement 121 comes the case of the moving shoes. They write, "My friend was telling me about odd things happening at her former home and sent me her home surveillance footage from 2018. Is this a tidy ghost who wants everything in its place? Watch the orbs and the white shoes apparently out of place." Now, I am not one who's usually into orb videos, but there are a couple that pass by in this clip, and the orbs become even more interesting when the little white pair of shoes move from the carpet to the bottom of the stairs, seemingly on their own. Hey, at least it's a tidy poltergeist they have, aside from the cobwebs in the corner right beside the camera. I mean, you got security footage. Don't you see those? Clean those up. Anyway, am I always harping on people to clean? Do I come off as, a tool? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.